I'm Andru Edwards and you're watching Gear Live. A couple of days ago, Samsung announced what may be the most compelling phone with foldable display in the Galaxy Z Flip. I was able to spend some time with the Galaxy Z Flip and came away with the feeling that I needed to talk about both the positive and the negative aspects of using this device. So in this episode, I'm bringing you both the good and the bad about the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. What's going on, Tech Squad? Andru Edwards here, editor-in-chief of GearLive.com. And as I mentioned, in this episode, we are talking about the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip foldable clamshell smartphone. That is a lot of words to describe a phone, but it's the Galaxy Z Flip. It's what Samsung opened the Unpacked 2020 event with, and despite the very impressive Galaxy S20, S20 Plus, and S20 Ultra handsets being announced at the event as well, the Galaxy Z Flip itself has gotten a lot of attention. It's also interesting because the Z Flip goes on sale on Valentine's Day, which, as I'm recording this right now, is tomorrow, while the Galaxy S20 isn't coming until March. So this is the first device coming out of Unpacked 2020 that you can get your hands on in stores. Now, as I mentioned, I was able to play around with the Galaxy Z Flip. I had about 30 minutes with it on my own, and then I was sharing it with Jervina from Tech Me Out. Shout out to Jervina for help behind the camera. So let's jump into the video, and I'm gonna tell you the good and the bad about the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. And by the way, I have 5 good and 5 bad, but I don't necessarily think that the bad outweighs the good. There were just some things that I noticed while using the device that I thought needed to be said. So let's jump in, starting with the specs. The Samsung Galaxy Z Flip rocks a Snapdragon 855 Plus processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM on the inside, 256 gigabytes of storage with no SD card support, a 3300 milliamp hour battery. It supports wireless charging along with wireless power share, so that means you can use the phone to charge other devices wirelessly, like the new Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus. It's got dual 12 megapixel cameras on the back, one wide, one ultra wide, as well as a 10 megapixel front camera, which you can use for video chats and selfies. So when looking at those specs, what you're really seeing there is a flagship 2019 device. This is not flagship specs for a 2020 smartphone, and that is evidenced by looking at and comparing the specs of the Galaxy Z Flip to the Galaxy S20. Better cameras on the S20, better display on the S20, better connectivity on the S20. The Z Flip doesn't even have a 5G capable modem in it, while the entire S20 line is 5G capable, just as an example. So I'm not saying those specs are good or bad, but what I'm saying is you're not getting the latest and greatest for a smartphone launching here in 2020. What you're getting is a phone in 2020 with flagship 2019 specs. Now, I wasn't sure whether I should start with the good or the bad, but I feel like I want to end on the good. So let's start with one of the negatives. And this one is a negative for a lot of people that I've seen online, and that is going to be the price. $1,380 plus tax, more than likely, depending on where you live. That's a lot of money for a smartphone, especially a smartphone with 2019 specs. Now, obviously, what you're buying isn't just a typical smartphone. You're buying a smartphone with brand new display technology, and that's obviously gonna come at a cost. Now, with the Galaxy Fold and with the Motorola Razr, I didn't think the pricing on either of those phones warranted buying the device. They felt like beta devices when I used them. They didn't feel like they were fully baked and ready for the average consumer. However, in my limited testing with the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, I must say, just using the device, picking it up, unfolding it, and using it, it actually felt like something that wasn't gonna accidentally snap in half, that the display didn't feel super soft and smushy. It just felt like a good device. But there are other good devices, including the Galaxy S20, that you can pick up for hundreds of dollars less than the cost of the Z Flip, and you would end up getting more features, better specs, etc. Now, moving over to the good side of the fence, let's talk about that display. With the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, what you're getting is an ultra thin folding glass display. And that's different than what we saw on the Galaxy Fold. This is folding glass, not folding plastic. This is different than what we've seen from Motorola and the Razr. We're getting glass, not plastic. And I made sure to walk up to Samsung and ask very specifically. I said, when you say this is glass, are you using tricks? Are you using wordplay? Is it fully glass? Is there just a little bit of glass, but then there's a cut in the center where you fold it where there's no glass? Is the whole display actually, literally, scientifically glass? And the answer that Samsung gave me was yes, it is. So confirmation, we've got real folding glass on the Galaxy Z Flip. This is a 6.7 inch 21 by 9 display, so not 16 by 9, not 18 by 9 like we've been seeing over the past couple of years. It's a 21 by 9 display, so it's an ultra widescreen display. Now, on the bad side of things, we just talked about how good the display is, but the one complaint I have about the display is that it is 1080p. It's not 1440p, it's not 2K, it's not up to par with what we've seen on the Galaxy S20, Galaxy S10, Galaxy S9, the Note 9, Note 10, etc. Samsung did not put a QHD display on here. It's not a 2K display. It's 1080p, or more precisely 2636 by 1080. Samsung calls it Full HD Plus. So if you're all about the pixel density and all about the display resolution, then the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip might not be the phone for you. Now, back over onto the positive side, one cool thing about the Galaxy Z Flip is that when it's closed, you can actually double tap on the power button to take a quick photo. Now, this works for selfies in particular. You just hold the Z Flip up, double tap that button, and the smaller OLED display on the outside of the phone will light up so that you can see yourself when you're taking your selfie. Now, again, this is just a cool feature Samsung was showing off when using the phone. On the bad side of things, though, that outer OLED display is really small. In fact, it's so small that it's even difficult to see yourself in that OLED display if you have bad eyesight. Luckily, I've got that 20/20 going on, so I can hold the phone out and still see myself. But even if you can see yourself, you're not seeing the full image because the aspect ratio of the outer display doesn't match the aspect ratio of the photo that you're taking. But again, it is cool that you can have the phone folded in clamshell mode, just double tap the power button real quick and snap a photo. And the other cool thing about that is when you have the phone folded, you're actually taking your selfie with the rear camera instead of the internal front camera. So the internal front camera has the 10 megapixel display, while the rear camera has the 12 megapixel display. And as it's been for the entire history of smartphones, the rear camera is always better than the front camera. So what that means is when you're taking selfies with the phone closed, you're actually taking selfies with the better camera. So to recap that one, good that you can quickly take selfies and use the better rear camera. Bad that the outer OLED display is just way too small for that. It's basically good to see that you have notifications, but not really good enough to read your notifications on that display. So I do wish that the outer OLED display was a little bit more like what we see on the Motorola Razr, where you have a nice enough size display to where you can see and do stuff with the phone folded up. Okay, let's move back to the good. One really good thing about the Galaxy Z Flex, and this has to do with foldable phones in particular, Samsung seems to have put a lot of work into improving the Hinge this year. What you're seeing is a way better hinge than what we saw on the Galaxy Fold, and also a better hinge on the Motorola Razr, which just launched a couple weeks ago. What's nice is that this has a couple of stops built into the hinge, which means it kind of gives you a click at 90 degrees and then again at 120 degrees. And this changes the way the apps are displayed on the screen in an interesting way. So for example, if you have the phone completely unfolded like any other smartphone, and you open the camera app or you open YouTube, for example, those are gonna look the way they look on any other phone. But if you fold the phone 90 degrees, the top half of the display is gonna be used to, say, play your YouTube video or for your camera, and then the bottom half of the display is gonna be on YouTube. It's your comments, it's your navigation to other videos, and in the photo app, the bottom of the screen, the bottom half, becomes your camera controls and also your navigation for looking at the photos in your gallery. You can actually see the apps make this transition when you go from a fully unfolded device to kind of folding it in half. This is Samsung trying out new and different ways of taking advantage of a foldable display from a software perspective. Now, we're still early in the game with foldables, but I really have to give it to Samsung for trying some new and interesting ideas here with the Galaxy Z Flip. All right, next let's move on to another one of the things that I didn't like about the Galaxy Z Flip, and that is the crease. When you're using the phone, you can see there's a crease that goes right across the display where it folds in on itself. In the right light, the crease is extremely noticeable, but in any light, you can feel the crease with your thumb or your finger as you're using the phone. If you're scrolling, you're regularly scrolling across the center of your screen, you're gonna feel that crease. If you're tapping and moving around the display, you're feeling that crease. And it is something that is just very obvious, which is different from other smartphones that you've used in the past. Most smartphones don't have a crease. Therefore, most smartphones don't have just that weird feeling thing in the middle of the display that is just kind of there in your mind, and as you're doing, you just feel it. You know, compare that to using a Samsung phone or an iPhone or really any other phone with just a glass display. The phone kind of disappears in your hand and you just are in the world of whatever app you're in, and that crease is just like a small distraction. And it seems like it's a necessary evil. We see it on the Razr, we saw it on the Fold, but on the Galaxy Fold, I felt like you could kind of avoid the crease because you didn't have to touch it anywhere near as much because the crease went horizontal instead of vertical right across the display. Now, it may not bother you, but I did ask a couple other people at the event about the crease, and pretty much universally people said, yeah, I'm not feeling that. Okay, next up on the positive list of the Galaxy Z Flip, I have to give them props. This is just a software feature in the camera, but I didn't expect to see a feature from the Galaxy S20 brought over to the Z Flip, and that is single take mode. Single take mode is actually my favorite camera feature on the Samsung Galaxy S20 lineup, so seeing it on the Galaxy Z Flip put a smile on my face. Now, I did a full video on single take mode, what it is, how it works, and what the end result is when you're using it to take photos and videos. I will leave a link to that video down in the description below, as well as right here in case you want to check it out. But in a nutshell, single take mode starts taking photos and videos for 10 seconds as soon as you hit the shutter, and it's taking all sorts of different videos and photos using all the cameras on the device to get all sorts of interesting shots that you wouldn't be able to get on your own in that same duration. Again, I'm not gonna go fully into it since I have a full video on it, so you can check that out if you're interested, but shout out to Samsung for including single take mode on the Galaxy Z Flip. All right, last on the negative list, last on the bad list. This actually isn't something that I necessarily find to be bad. I'm okay with this, but I know a lot of you guys watching out there still care about this quite a bit. I see it in the comments all the time. There is no headphone jack on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. Headphone jacks are a thing of the past. We did not see it on the latest Galaxy Note from Samsung. We don't see it on the Galaxy S20, S20 Plus, or even the S20 Ultra, despite that Ultra name. Ultra does not include a headphone jack. We're also not seeing a headphone jack on the Galaxy Z Flip. So if you care about headphone jacks, if you're mad about headphone jacks, this may not be the phone for you, although it does have a USB-C port, which you can plug a dongle into and then plug headphones into that. You can also use wireless headphones, wireless earbuds, the new Galaxy Buds Plus that were just announced, etc. But if you're hardcore about having a headphone jack, then you're not gonna wanna look at this year's Samsung devices, not this year's Apple devices. It's probably gonna be an LG device for you. And finally, last on the good list, ending it with a positive, and I wanna be clear about this, despite some of the negatives that I've given in this video. The good thing is, despite all that, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip is the absolute best phone with a foldable display on the market. You are not gonna find a better phone with a foldable display than the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip. Again, you are getting flagship 2019 specs. You're not getting 5G, etc. It does have the Crease, but you have a glass display, and when you use it and feel it, it feels like a glass display. It doesn't feel like a plasticky display like we got on the Galaxy Fold or on the Motorola Razr. It has great cameras, unlike the Razr. It is way more pocketable than a Galaxy Fold. In fact, what I'd say is the Galaxy Fold is a foldable tablet, and the Galaxy Z Flip is a foldable phone. Now, if you want to pick one up, again, they are released on February 14th, Valentine's Day. Samsung showed a mirror black version, a mirror purple version, and a mirror gold version, which was super striking. And of course, the mirror gold version is not shipping here in the United States. We're only getting the purple and the black. 1,380, there was only one configuration, 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now I wanna hear from you guys. Are you going to pick up a Galaxy Z Flip at the launch price of $1,380? Oh, by the way, there is also the Thom Browne version. That one's gonna be about $2,400. It is an exclusive color. It's gray with the Thom Browne stripes. It also comes with a Thom Browne designed Samsung Galaxy Active 2 watch and a Thom Browne designed pair of Galaxy Buds Plus. As you can see here, it was a part of Fashion Week. This one is dropping in March. If you wanna pay extra for the designer look, not designer features, same features, but if you wanna pay extra for that unique look, you can do that as well. But again, curious to know what you guys think. Are you picking one of these up? Are you gonna wait till they go on sale? Are you not intrigued at all by foldable displays? Let me know in the comments below and I will meet you there for further discussion. Now, if you wanna hear even more on the Z Flip, we will have a full discussion on our Geared Up podcast. Geared Up is a podcast I do each and every week with John Rettinger, where we talk about the latest in tech, gadgets, and games. Just search for Geared Up in your favorite podcast player and you'll see our faces and logo come up. And of course, if you want to see the full Galaxy S20 review, S20 Ultra review, Z Flip review, etc., be sure to hit that subscribe button here on this channel to stay up to date on those video releases. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support. I'm Andru Edwards, and I'll catch you in the next video.